Tracy, we've got a great story and some data here about should you wait to buy?
And the answer is it could cost you if you
Yeah.
wait to buy, right?
So tell us the numbers on this. This is a little bit of research. It was done pretty simple research, but yeah, go through it here.
Uh, it's talking about a $250,000 home loan. So we're looking at the price of the home versus the cost of borrowing the money
Mm-hmm.
from now to historical, like in the future, if interest rates change
Right.
and prices continue to go up, which we believe they will, right?
Yeah, so if you look at it, if somebody bought a home in the beginning of this year in January and they paid $250,000 for it, they got a 2.8% mortgage, so they got a monthly payment about $1,027 a month, right? If the home prices go up, which they look like they will, about 12% this year,
Right. That home next January will be $280,250, right? So that house is going to go up $30,000 in a
Right.
year. Wow.
And
And
so
interest rates.
let's look at it this way. This may be a better way to look at it. If somebody would buy a $280,000 house right now, and let's say they're around, 3% mortgage rate or something like that, they're going to have a payment around $1,200, let's say.
Right.
Okay. All the projections are that home prices are going to appreciate somewhere around 5%. I think it's going to actually be higher than that over the next 12 months. That home, let's say it's 5%, that home that was $280,000 is now worth $295,000 a year later. So if you wait a year from now, you're going to pay another $15,000 for that exact same home. And more than likely, you're going to be paying a higher mortgage
interest rate
payment. So you're going to, because the interest rates more than likely will be up a little higher by this same time next year.
So we've had a lot of people say, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to buy a house right now. I'm just going to wait for things to calm down, prices to come down or whatever. So when you look at the statistics on it and the projections, that really could cost a home buyer.
It could, and especially for that whole conversation that you and I have all the time about building wealth for you and your
Right.
family.
So, this example was a January 2021 purchase. So just 6 months ago, right?
Right.
7 months ago. And it's showing that house is already appreciated by $15,000 perhaps.
Right.
And
Right.
what we know from working in the market and helping clients is houses have gone up quite a bit just since the first of the year. So to wait and for prices to go up higher and potentially miss out on the best interest rates we've seen pretty much could cost them money.
But wait, what about all those forbearances and that foreclosure foreclosure flood that's coming, Tracy?
So we've got a lot of new data on that too, right? So
Yeah.
over our morning coffee, Tego's always reading me stories, right?
Yeah.
And the story this week was all about what's going to happen with all the houses in forbearance. But think about how many houses are there in forbearance, Tego, from the height of this pandemic to today, right?
Right.
We went from 5-6 million?
Can I make something clear? People may not understand this. They may have hear the word forbearance. So forbearance is a program that was put in place to help people avoid foreclosure. I remember back when it first started and everybody was saying there's 7 million or 5 million people on forbearance. They're all going to go to foreclosure. Well, the whole idea of the forbearance program was to get people to avoid foreclosure, right? It was a way to let them put a pause on their mortgage payments because of the pandemic and then come out of it. So what's happened, we started at 5 million, we're down to under 2 million people in those plans right now. And most of the people that have come off those plans have just, picked up payments, done some workout with their lender, or honestly, there were a lot of people that did the plan that never used it. They're out of the plan. There's a lot of people that refinanced or did something else that are out of the plan.
Right. So now we've got under 2 million people still in the forbearance plan. And the story you were telling me, I think it was FHFA.
Well, it was actually, it was a story, it was a CFPB.
All these acronyms, right?
I know. FHFA is the Federal Housing Finance Authority, which oversees Fannie and Freddie, and then CFPB,
Consumer Finance
Protection. So they're the ones that are pushing, helping people get through this, homeownership challenge, right?
Right. So they're coming out with how people are going to get out of it, right? How they're going to help people. But what happens to the folks that aren't trying to help themselves get out of it, right?
Right.
And that was really clear to me that if people are reaching out to their lender, if they are in forbearance or they're trying to figure out a path,
here's the quote.
They're
right
going to
here,
be
Tracy.
worked with.
I just found it. So this was a story in Housing Wire written by a gentleman who is with an organization called Realty Track, and they're the largest company in the country that kind of deals with foreclosures.
Right.
The data around foreclosures and working through foreclosures. So anyway, they've had no business in the last year, actually. which
So the quote or the...
Yeah, so the whole idea was, okay, of all these people that were in forbearance plans and they're going to be coming out of it, the foreclosure moratorium's going away.
Probably.
It is.
Like today.
Soon. Yeah, I think it is today.
The 31st.
I think you're right. So what happens to all those people now? Are we going to suddenly have this flood of foreclosures? Well, no. Here's the quote. It says, the CFPB has issued new servicing rules. And so what the servicers are, those are the ones that actually take care of the mortgage payments and service the mortgages. So when you make your payment on a mortgage, you're paying it to a servicer, just to define that. The rules providing even more safety net until January 2022. For the balance of 2021, servicers will only be able to initiate foreclosures on loans held on vacant and or abandoned properties, loans where the borrower has been offered but not qualified for loan modification, loans where the borrower has been unresponsive to servicer outreach, and I want to go back to that, and loans where, which were 120 days delinquent prior to March of 2020, which is kind of funny that, all those people that were delinquent prior to the pandemic got their foreclosures put on hold too.
So if they were in the process 120 days, they might get put back on the roster.
So that little part in there that says if the homeowner has been unresponsive to servicer outreach, the servicers, again, the people that actually handle the mortgages and collect payments and process all that, they've been doing tons for outreach. I mean, if you go on any mortgage servicer's website right now, the first thing you're going to see is this big splash pop up that says, do you need assistance with your mortgage, right? This is nothing like what happened in 2008.
Right.
Anyway,
so basically it's saying if you've been trying and you're cooperating and you're communicating with whoever you pay your mortgage to, they're not going to start a foreclosure. They're going to continue to figure out how to help you put back payments.
Well, there's one little caveat to that, and it says they've been offered but not qualified for loan modifications, which means the thing is they're going to do everything they can to help people modify their mortgage if they need to, as much as putting all the payments on the end and making it a 40-year mortgage, right?
Right.
We saw that too.
We saw that. We had to do the math, 480 months.
Yeah. So the end of this story is, Tracy, there's not going to be a flood of foreclosures.
No, there isn't. And, with under 2 million people in forbearance, even if all those came on the market, we probably need them on the market. Not that we want that to happen.
If they all came on the market, and they wouldn't come on all at once, they would come in and
over the next year or two. Yeah.
The projection I saw was maybe 300,000 foreclosures nationwide after we get through this forbearance and everybody comes off of that. Nationwide, really, that's a drop in the bucket when you think about the fact that there's about 6 million homes a year sold in our country.
The other statistic, just to put it in perspective, is of the under 2 million that are in the forbearance program represents about 3.9% of mortgages.
Right.
So that's 4 out of 100.
So even if all those, what I want, yeah, you're right. No, the thing is, even if all those homes come on the market immediately, it's not going to cause price declines unless buyer demand just vanishes for some crazy reason, which doesn't seem to be in the
Well,
cards with the millennial generation.
and think about how much home prices have changed since the beginning of last year. Those people in forbearance have equity in those homes.
Yeah.
So, um,
That was a longer discussion
So-
we wanted, but I'm just so frustrated when I hear people say, "Well, I'm waiting for the deals when all the deals start coming." It's like, no, they're not coming.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm sorry. And people that say you shouldn't be telling people to buy a home right now because home prices are going to crash. Well, first off, you got to live somewhere, right? I mean, so
Right.
you got to put that into the calculation. Anyway, okay. I'm
so
done.